Hello South Africa and welcome to Sunday Live right here on SABC 1. I am your host, Tumelo Mututwane. Now as you can see, we're not coming to you live from our SABC studios today. Now as a matter of fact, we are at the Sandton Convention Center for the SABC Education Career Indaba. Well, as you know, when you hear the word Career Indaba, you already know this is a very safe platform and space for young South Africans, particularly learners and students, to come along with their parents and their teachers and to learn more about the opportunities that South Africa has for them both at the workplace and in academics. So we're going to have a good time just finding out more about what young people are learning today. But also, I'm joined by two gentlemen who are speaking right here at the Career Indaba yesterday. And as you know, it's in its second day today. They're going to share with us their feedback and their perspective of what came out of their talks. Well, I'm joined by Dorian Cabral, who is a business consultant and the founder of Once Active. And I'm also joined by 21-year-old media entrepreneur and personality, Sia Sangweni Finn, also joining us. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Welcome.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm not only joined by them, right? I'm also joined by a studio audience comprising of young people. They'll be here asking questions, engaging with us, and also telling us what they learned from the Career Indaba. So we'll be chatting to them a little bit later on. But first things first, let's talk about day one of the SABC Education Career Indaba. I'll start with you, Dorian. Yeah. When you first took to the stage, what do you think the young learners' expectations were from this event?
Well, I think it's been quite interesting speaking to the young learners. I mean, the expectations, you have to ask them, what their expectations were.
Yeah.
But what I thought from that is that obviously they're looking for a career path. And I think they're realizing the seriousness of it at this stage in their lives. That this is not about just finishing matric or getting university entrance. What they choose now is going to go with them for life.
Yeah.
And they need to make sure that there's passion associated with what they choose to keep them interested and relevant in their career choice.
Did you find that to be something easy to talk about, especially in a society where young people look up to people that sort of engage on quick money schemes and being rich quicker? Do you find that they have their passion, they know what they're passionate about, or they still need to do some research about that?
I believe it's quite joint. I mean, it's percentage-wise, we looked at a lot of people that seem to be unaware of what the big world has to offer.
Right.
There's still a belief that we can achieve everything we want to achieve. That's not necessarily the case. We can't, take away from the fact that certain people and personalities fit certain spaces of the business world.
Yeah.
And I think that, to find their feet is going to be challenging. But as we were discussing yesterday, I recommended that you got to look at your passion as the first thing. The second thing they've got to look at is finding what their economic engine is. What's going to make money? So they can be passionate about something, but what's actually going to make money for them? So not necessarily just pay the bills. They want to be successful, and it's not just saying that your passion must be money orientated, but then you also got to have a belief and a realistic belief of what you can be the best in the world at. And that's where you've got to align yourself.
Yeah. Well, see, let's talk about you. I mean, you also came in yesterday to talk to young people and inspire them, especially from a very personal perspective. Now, in a society where you're told that you can be anything, you can do anything and become whatever you want, did you find that, young people are more receptive to that, or it just adds to the confusion?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I stood up, basically, and I said, you don't have a PhD, not a professor, not a scientist, but what I am an expert in is the 21 years of being alive on this earth, and through everything that I've gone through, experience really is the greatest and the best teacher.
Right.
So that's what I know for sure. And in interacting with fellow young people, 3 years ago, I was exactly a matric student sitting there going, okay, well, what am I going to do and what should I do? And it's initiatives like this, like Career Indaba, which actually help and they mold you find your way in life. So most definitely I did feel a certain level of them receiving my message more, especially because I'm standing as an example of what happens when you go out there and follow your dreams.
Now, one may place the focus more on the students and the learners, but we have the teachers who need to be just as informed, just as motivated, so to pass on the motivation and information to young kids. Just by interacting with teachers or even just being around this event, have you found that teachers are learning a lot, or they feel like they kind of miss certain information that they needed to actually pass on to to young learners?
I personally believe, and I'm really not trying to buy face, especially because my mother's a teacher and she's not judge, but teaching is really one of the greatest and the hardest jobs out there because you're molding a life and you cannot have a blueprint of this is how I will teach forever and ever, amen, throughout all years, because these are different kids who walk into your classroom every single year. They're going through different things, they're growing up in different times.
Right.
And so to echo your sentiments, to now have youth who are told that they can be whatever they want to.
Yeah.
You know, you need a different type of teacher than you needed per se 15 years ago.
Right.
So most definitely I commend all of the educators who have bumped into and interacted with right here this year and how they've been able to, you know, move with the times.
Yeah.
It's definitely commendable.
Well, let's talk about, Dorian, you know, our education system for a moment. I know that you interacted with some young people who were asking you, I want to become a doctor, but you found they're doing history. Let's talk about, you know, academic guidance that we have right now in our school system. What do you think needs to change, especially, you know, in a country whereby young kids are not as informed as what particular subjects they need to take so to further their studies?
Well, from our side and just running the courses of the National Academy of Sports Medicine, which is, you know, a personal training course, but it's accredited internationally, we found that you don't necessarily have to be an academic. Just coming down, I'll give you an example now of what we've noticed, okay? That you don't necessarily have to be an academic to be brilliant at what you're going to do, because it's a practical sense. So what we do find is that people coming through the school ranks from an academic, more conscious focal point. If I could recommend, or if I could suggest, and it's purely my view, that the schools definitely have to look at mixing the balance up between the academic side of it, so what's theoretical and what's practical.
Right.
Because it is setting a few people back that are very practically strong. And so as I say, from a recommendation point of view, it would be something worthwhile looking at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not exactly qualified to make comments on what's happening on the academia side in the schools, but from a experience point of view, you know, as you're saying, and a point of view that I believe is a valid one, that needs to be addressed.
But see, at the same time, don't you hear a lot of, you know, punting that, you know, young people can be entrepreneurs, Is everyone destined to be a good entrepreneur?
I don't want to be the rain on the parade here, but we can't quickly label people before they've even discovered what they want. And you know, these are teenagers. You're 18 years old. You could possibly live until you're 90. That is a lot of pressure to say that you are now going to go ahead and start a business or you know, just being an accountant. I think you really have to find your own groove. But I love that we are now encouraging young people to go into business.
Yeah.
We aren't just saying wear a suit and walk into a boardroom, but we're saying wherever you are, Koka, see if you're in Soweto and you think, Maramagoko, you can start actually marking up your card with this percentage. You know, that is being business-minded, and that's taking initiative. So I love as well that definitions are now being broadened, and it's about just moving from a space of passion and moving from a space of educated passion and going out there and making things happen.
Alrighty then, well, you're watching Sunday Live right here on SABC 1. We're at the SABC Education Career in Indaba at the Centre Convention Centre, here to engage with young people to find out exactly what their expectations are from the event and what they will take out of it moving forward, of course, in their careers and in their academic life. But let's go for a short break, and when we come back, we engage with our audience members. Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Live right here on SABC 1, and we are at the SABC Education Career in Indaba, having a great time chilling with young people who are here to mold their future, be it they wanting to advance their academics or wanting to learn more about, you know, their passion and career choice. Well, they are surrounded by great mentors, people with experience here to impart information and words of wisdom so they can move forward. But as I mentioned before, we're not only joined by our panelists, we're here as well with our audience members, and we just want to find out from them what their expectations were, of course, from the career in Indaba today. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. I want to know, just based on what you heard today, what questions do you have? Do you have any questions to our panelists or anything you want to share about what you've learned? Anyone at all? Yes, here's the microphone.
What I want to share is that I feel like our parents make us feel as if we're obligated to go to university. And that, for me personally, I believe that I have to have practical capabilities, and I just don't want to know things by the book. I want to have practical experience, which is going to make me a better person in whichever career I want to take. So I feel like our parents need to also be educated about the different careers we can take that don't need to be, go as the book, but also give us practical capabilities.
Interesting point. Thank you so much. Would you like to comment?
And he said something about educated passion, but then a friend of mine actually at school was saying that we need to learn to either bridge a gap between your passion and reality, because then it's fine to follow your passion and just to want to do what you love, but then at the same time you need to remember that you still need to live, you still need to fund yourself and everything like that. So it's about also bridging the gap between passion and reality.
Interesting. Great point. You're going to be a professor one day. I can just tell already. I want to hear from anyone who would like to share what they learned. When you came here from yesterday, what did you learn from the career Indaba so far? Anyone who would like to share that hasn't spoken? Hi.
I've learned from the career Indaba that, I didn't learn, I got more clearance about my career that I want to follow. I want to do architecture. So I went to the South African CAP about architect and in the profession. I got clear information that the institute is not only about refining people who are already architects, but also involving students who are studying to become architects.
Nice, that's interesting. And for anyone who also, would like to comment on schooling, let's talk about, what you learned from school. We hear a lot, young people saying, has this kind of changed your perspective that in life you need to give your best? It's not just about passing. Anyone would like to comment on schooling who hasn't spoken? Anyone at all? There's a hand at the back. Please give the gentleman at the back. Hi.
The challenges is there when it comes when we want a bursary for studying. So what I'm basically studying, I'm studying electrical infrastructure construction at TVET College at Westcall, which it gives us a clear view and a challenge of studying as well. And then we have to play our own best. So what I experienced here, the atmosphere was very challenging. So I did get my passion which university I'm going to study at. So they gave me a clear view, and then I thank this program for helping us young people to give us good ideas and a clear view where you're gonna further all your studies.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you for that point. There was a hand right at the back. Did you have your hand up, ma'am? Can we give the mic to the lady at the back, please? Thank you.
For me, it's just a comment.
Yes.
I came yesterday for the career Indaba. What I've learned so far is that there are many opportunities for youth, and I think youth must grab them and go out there and, if you want something, you go after it, and don't sit at home and thinking that there are no opportunities out there. So that's my comment. I would like to thank them for actually providing this service for all of us, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to get back to our audience members in a moment just to get more comments from them. But let's talk about, the word passion coming out so much. You spoke about it during earlier.
It's a very relevant, topic. I mean, just to discuss passion, and she's 100% right. You have to find the balance, and you got the balance between reality and your passion. And I think that passion also comes in where we can be misled, is that, as you mentioned, we all want to be entrepreneurs, but we're not necessarily entrepreneurs. And somebody might have this dying passion that they just want to be the next Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, but that's not necessarily going to happen. So you have to face reality, but you need to enjoy what you do. And something that came out of yesterday, a lot of people, or students, learners that came up to me, when they approached us saying, the first thing they said to me, does this guarantee you a job?
Yeah.
So we want you to dream bigger than that. It shouldn't just be about getting a job. You've got to be more than that. You've got to believe in yourself a lot more. So you got to drive the passion, but yes, face the reality that, maybe not everything is for you.
But see, what about, just to add on that, what about, young people that may say, passion won't feed me right now. I need money right now. Perhaps I'm from a child-headed household. How do you also sort of rehabilitate that mindset?
You know, I think maybe I'm just the eternal optimist in the equation, but I do believe if you're genuinely passionate about something, you can always make a plan about it. Case in point, I was in high school, that was really rah-rah, rugby and swimming, and I knew like I was not going to be first team, like, so what was I going to do? Nonetheless, I was very, very passionate about communications, and I remember I said, well, actually at a rugby game you need someone who's going to announce those scores.
Right.
And so I went to the principal, I was like, excuse me, hi, I can announce your scores, I can welcome the parents, and that's exactly what I did. And cut to 3-4 years later, I now am in radio at cliffcentral.com.
Listen to that.
So it's one of those things of if you're passionate about something, you can definitely make a plan.
I like that so much. Well, you know what, let's go take an ad break, and when we come back, we're wrapping up our show. We're also getting parting shots from our panelists. We're engaging one more time with our studio audience members, comprising of our young learners and students from various schools in South African Gauteng in particular. We are at the Sandton Convention Center for the SABC Education Career Indaba. We'll be right back. Well, hello, welcome back to Sunday Live. My name is Tumelo Mototwane, and if you've just joined us, well, you've missed the majority, of our show where we're talking about Career Indaba and the importance for not only young people, but for our parents and our teachers to be informed and well equipped with information surrounding, the developing technology and new things that are developing, of course, around academics as well as career opportunities for young people in South Africa. Now, I'm also joined by our panelists and studio audience members comprising of young people who are here on their second day to learn more from the Career Indaba. Let's go back to them and ask them a few questions about what they have learned today. Now, I just want to get with you guys, from anyone who hasn't commented before, what can you tell me about the information that you learned today that was so important, that stood out for you, something that you will take home today? Anyone else that would like to comment? Maybe give the lady the mic, please. Hi.
I think what I learned today is that I think when you go to such a place such as the Career Indaba, you need to be really open and never have an expectation of a job and a situation. Kind of just have your arms open towards anything, because a lot of the times people close themselves off to different opportunities and different things just because they have this mentality of, oh, this is the job I want to do, it's going to make me enough money, I'm going to have the right kind of life I want. And really, it's not always like that. Your future, there's so much you can do with your future, that your future can change in a split second. So that's what I've learned, to just be open to anything and just,
Absolutely. Now also, let's also talk to the parents, and let's talk about the fact that there is technology today where young people can source that information, so that you don't wait for a Career Indaba. You also take the initiative in looking for information. So for the parents, just beside you, behind you, can you just give the lady the mic right behind you. How important is it to use technology, do you think, in sourcing information? Anyone would like to comment? Yes, Mama.
Mina into engiyifundile la ku Career Indaba, and then ngifunde ukuthi ziningi izinto ezenzakala lana. Abantwana bethu mabayekele ukuhlala ekhaya, bayihambele la kunezinto khona, bazokwazi ukuthi bazothola izinto lezi abangazenza kunokuthi bahlale ekhaya. Bakwazi if abaningi bebezile la bebezobona ukuthi maningi ama-career abangawayenza. Ziningi izinto ezingabasiza, kunamabhizinisi, tourism, ziningi izinto abangazenza ukuthi bazisize bangahlali ekhaya beze la into. Size lana nathi sizobheka ukuthi yini into yenziwa la, yini into singasiza abantwana bethu ngayo.
All right, ma'am. Siyabonga. Thank you so much for the comment. We have another mother. Hi.
Thank you very much. I'm from Mahale City Municipality as the outreach librarian. We used to have the career section in our area. So that's why I'm here to observe how SABC education is doing it. Really, they enrich our minds, they enrich our lives. I'm so shocked to see that even just the retail shops like Spar, Woolworths, you name them, they're here. We are not even aware that they really can supply our learners with the learnership, the internship, and the bursaries. So the information that I've gathered here, I'm going to distribute and have meetings with some of the librarians at our region to say let's be there for our learners. We know, especially from the rural areas, how they are suffering because they don't have knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But because of knowledge that we have acquired here, really, we are going to change our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for that comment. Let me come back to you, Sia. Now, an interesting story from you, or about you rather, said you got your opportunity at the radio station you work for through social media.
Yes.
How important is technology in today's day and age, to use in accessing further information?
Oh, I think we cannot dismiss the value and the role technology plays in the 21st century. You now do not, in my opinion, have an excuse to sit at home and to go, the world is against me.
Right.
When you're LinkedIn search away, you can research someone, you can research a company. Go and Google that company's address. You go to their offices and you knock on their door and you don't leave until you get an answer. To say that I got my job technically through Twitter is a quintessential 21st century story, but it's not just my story.
Yeah.
It's every single person's story out there, and it's their responsibility as a young person in South Africa to do that as well in order to fulfill their dreams and passions.
And just talking about, accessing information, I'm sure you can find anything, as Sia mentioned. You can Google the address of Google and go knock on their doors. But Dorian, let's talk about some of the most unusual careers that we have that perhaps young people are not even aware of, that we need, especially in those scarce sort of like industries, and they're only exposed perhaps to your laws and to your doctorates, but not knowing that there are actually more opportunities in different industries.
There are many opportunities,
Many.
and there's many opportunities. I was going to go on the technology side again.
Yeah.
I mean, from a personal user of different meditation apps, and we were discussing it earlier, and educational apps, and the information is out there. But I think just to mention that attitude has a huge part to play. And I think what was mentioned earlier as well is that you can't expect that your degree is going to make you money. And I think that's where the expectation comes, is that if I do an MBA or if I do the degree, there's very good degrees out there and there's great education out there, but that doesn't mean that once you've got that piece of paper, that's what's going to make sure that you get out of bed every morning, that you are going to actually have, the business acumen that is required to make money.
Right.
So, I mean, just moving a little bit off the subject, but it's important to mention that.
Yeah. And also talking about mentorship, I mean, can young people, do it on their own? Is it important to have a mentor? If so, where do they actually access these mentors at?
Well, in my view, it is extremely important to have a mentor. You need to have somebody that has got the business experience. So when you sit down with them, they can actually speak to you from life experience. So not just about doing their degree or studying, they can actually tell you about hard hits that they've taken in business, how they've recovered, how many times they've actually gone down and had to pick themselves up.
How many no's they've received.
How many no's they've received, how they've had to keep on going, how many business ventures they actually started that failed and why they failed, and how can I actually make that. And there are many entrepreneurs out there. I'm not sure the platforms that you can go on to actually source a mentor. We run a mentorship program, but that is more for our professional trainers. But approaching somebody like myself, or other business people, and just going and say, can I have a coffee with you, or can I sit down? I just want to have 15 minutes of your time. I mean, I've mentioned that our senior pastor from our church says something wonderful. He says, do some research about your mentor, find out what they like, don't be creepy about it, buy them a gift and actually take it to them. I've got a gift for you for 20 minutes of your time. You like this, here we go, can I have 20 minutes? And make sure that you've prepped your questions. Have your questions prepped so you don't waste the person's time, you don't waste your time, and they can see that you're engaging. And then you're going to get good answers.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm going to come back to you, Sia, for your closing parts. Before we leave, anyone else with just parting shots before we say goodbye on the show? Any last comments, perhaps advice and words of wisdom to young people who couldn't make it today and who would love to be here? What could you tell them?
What I learned from Stugel, which is a company where you can search for bursaries, any information that you want about the career that you want to take, is that the lady told me that it's imperative for us to go for job shadowing. So I feel like that is going to help us, so for us to see where we're going to go, which type of job we're going to be doing, instead of us going into a career which is not going to be what we initially wanted and what we expected.
Absolutely.
So it's imperative for us as young people to get job shadowing.
Thank you so much. You also raised your hand. You want to say something?
It's important as well, job shadowing, and just reaching out, getting yourself out there, putting yourself out there to people. Never never take yourself small. Never look at yourself small. You know, you're a human being, and you can be as big as you want to be. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, Sia, your parting shots, advice, of course, to young people who are watching out there, especially in an era where you also need work experience. You can get the education you need, but sometimes you're turned back because you don't have, work experience. And here you are, took an initiative in high school to say, you know what, I can't be the rugby player, but I'll actually do something in communications.
Well, first and foremost, I think shout out to Destiny's Child in the front here. I don't know who's Beyonce, but you guys are like pearls of wisdom this morning. Well, what is a common theme and a thread in my life personally is actually what I learned in physics class way back in grade 10. And that's Newton's third law, which states that for every option there's an equal yet opposite reaction. And that's how I now live my life. And the truth is, what you put out there is what you'll get back.
Absolutely.
So remember that you are responsible for your own life at the end of the day. And so once you realize that, you take ownership of it. The future's yours.
Alrighty,
I think it's worth mentioning to the students, that I studied hotel management, and I didn't go into it, but I still don't regret doing it. So I still think that there is a place that if you're going to do a degree, I know the one you were having, a discussion with your parents, and you're asking that they actually respect your position of, the practicalities plus the, the actual degree. But go for it. Get an education, because you are never going to waste that education. Whether you choose to go with that degree or not, it's never going to be a waste.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much to you both, gentlemen, for joining us today. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for joining us today on Sunday Live, and thanks to you at home for tuning into Sunday Live right here on SABC 1. Well, it's still the day 2 and final day of the SABC Education Career Indaba right here at the Centre Convention Centre. I'm hoping that for each and every young person who was able to attend, they will get something, of course, and participate in the economy and be our future economic participants. But for myself, Tumelo Mututwane, and the rest of our team, we'll see you again next week. Until then, goodbye.